Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the latest installment of Treasure Coast Business Disaster Relief and Recovery, brought to you by the Virtual Business Recovery Center and the Corporate and Community Training Institute at Indian River State, hosted at IRSC and the Economic Development Council of St. Lucie County. You may post any questions and comments in either the chat room or Q&A section of this virtual meeting room. Today's topic, get your e-commerce website up in one day, led by CCTI instructor, Leanna Haag. Thank you for joining us today, Leanna. I'll turn it over to you now.
All right, great. Thank you everybody for coming. And I am going to share my screen here real quick, so that way you guys can see the presentation. All right, so as mentioned, we're going to be talking about getting our e-commerce website up and running. So just a couple housekeeping things. I really want to encourage you guys to write down some questions and ask them at the end of the presentation. The more you do that, the more, I think value you'll get out of the presentation, being able to kind of get your questions answered instead of, wishing you maybe asked while you had the opportunity. I'm just going to be speaking for 30 minutes and then I'm leaving 15 minutes, so that way you guys have the opportunity to ask questions. So definitely want to encourage you to be involved. A little bit about who I am. I'm the owner of Sea Level Marketing. Actually got my degree in marketing at UCF and have worked from large corporations to small businesses. Opened up my business, Sea Level Marketing, in 2009, and have been blessed to be able to help local business owners here on the Treasure Coast ever since, and started teaching workshops with the CCTI back in 2010. So definitely enjoy helping local businesses grow and help giving them guidance. So e-commerce in the wake of 2019, these are some stats that basically we can look at to see how e-commerce has grown at 18% since the state of emergency was declared. So back in March, when COVID happened, there was a 40% increase in revenue once the state of emergency occurred. So overall, retailers and business owners alike have been trying to think about how can we be dynamic and change with a sudden market fluctuation that happens due to a pandemic. So more emails have been getting sent out. There's been gains in particular product categories. So there's been a huge increase in firearms, toys, sporting goods, camping, industrial, things like that. Decline in apparel, housewares, home hardware stayed flat, auto, boat, motorcycle stayed flat. So, basically there's been a huge jump for businesses in general to get their business online. And so, if you were kind of doing things a little bit more of the traditional way prior to the pandemic, there's definitely a use case and some stats to support trying to think about how can we get, my business model online so I can take advantage of the huge gains in e-commerce and online marketing that have occurred since COVID began. So how are we going to take advantage of this new shopping trend? Even if you have an existing informational website, it doesn't mean that you can't have an e-commerce site as well. You don't have to wipe out your existing informational website in order to put up an e-commerce site. I actually just had this conversation with a customer yesterday. They thought that since they were going to be moving to Shopify, that they had to completely delete their old website and move everything over to Shopify. And that's absolutely not the case. Shopify is basically a way to offer your products or services for sale online. So it gives you that e-commerce functionality. And what you can do is if you do have an existing informational website, then you can actually just put a Shopify link in your menu navigation that might just say shop now. And when somebody clicks on that shop now, it actually takes them to the Shopify site. That being said, though, if you don't have a website at all, you can actually secure a domain and then set up a website actually directly through Shopify. So you don't have to have a separate informational website already if you don't have anything. So if you're getting started from scratch, then you're going to need to purchase a domain and then go to shopify.com, and you can have your informational site and your e-commerce site kind of live under the same. If you already do have a website, then I definitely would not say to get rid of it. Keep it and just put a link in the menu navigation out to the Shopify site. Shopify costs about $29 a month. And again, gives you that functionality to be able to provide e-commerce online. So how do we get started? You're going to go to shopify.com and you're going to create an account. So you're going to think of a store name. So this is kind of like your username on Shopify, and this is what Shopify requires. So even if it's your business name, maybe somebody has already claimed it, you might need to put, you know, Port St. Lucie, PSL, Fort Pierce, something after it, just to make it unique. And then you're just going to go through the steps of setting up your online shop. There's a store admin screen that you'll be taken to after you create your account. And basically this store admin screen is, you know, your lifeblood of everything you're going to be doing on Shopify. You're always going to be coming back here. You're going to come here to put in your products. You're going to come here to, you know, see your orders. It's where you can access your settings, things like that. So basically this is where you're just going to be customizing your store and get everything set up for Shopify. So once you've signed up, then your next step is to choose a theme. Sounds simple enough, but I wanted to point out a few things. Once you're kind of browsing for a theme, or basically the look and feel of how this Shopify or your e-commerce site is going to look, hopefully you're making it look consistent with your existing site if you already have one. So in other words, if you're having a blue theme or a blue color scheme on your existing site, you know, I would do a blue scheme or a blue color theme on your new Shopify e-commerce site. You can actually click on the theme sample image, and that's actually going to let you see what the Shopify theme looks like when you publish it. So the big thing is that you want to make sure that the theme that you choose is mobile friendly. Not every single Shopify theme, unfortunately, is mobile friendly. So you want to look for that word responsive, or maybe it says mobile ready. But that's very, very important because mobile usage is accounting to be probably 50% of you know, how people view websites these days. And that's a general statistic, but for the most part. So you really want to make sure that your mobile site or that Shopify is able to display a mobile site for you. You also want to, you know, preview the theme and actually demo it. And then that way you can kind of see how it's going to function, how it's going to look. And you also have the ability to customize the theme. So that way your store doesn't look like everybody else's. You can actually go through, you can change, like I said, colors, put in logos. You can actually change how things are ordered. And so that way you can make your store look unique. But really the big thing I wanted to point out is when you're choosing your theme, make sure it's mobile friendly. Make sure that you are able to test it and make sure it functions on mobile. So that way you're not setting that up and people aren't able to view it very well. Once you customize the theme, this is actually the page that'll pop up, and you can see here you're able to put in a logo, put in some images, you know, to do like a moving, you know, carousel as an example. You can put in like related items, so you might see that on other e-commerce stores where it might say you might also like, or other people also bought, this. You can choose how many items appear in collection pages, which is basically just categories. You can choose color schemes, fonts. So, you know, you can see that you have the ability to kind of easily adjust the look and feel of your Shopify site without having to know a bunch of CSS or HTML or any of the website coding. It's a drag and drop builder. So once you get your theme looking the way you want it to look, then you're going to go back and add some products. So want to make sure you fill out as much information as possible for each product. And what I really want to emphasize is that you put your search terms in the name and description area. So when I say search terms, if you guys were able to attend the original webinar I did about, you know, internet marketing after or during COVID-19, I was talking about keyword research, which is basically where you can go out and figure out what are the search volumes, what's the seasonality, basically get some good reporting on you know, what search terms make the most sense for your business. And so if you've done that keyword research, then you can go through and say, okay, I know that this is the search term that people look for when it comes to my product or service. And so you're going to put that in the name of the product or put it in the description. So this is kind of, you know, search engine optimizing your products. If you know what search terms people look for, you definitely want to utilize that in the product name or the description. And, you know, really what you want to think about when you're putting these products together is how many images can I put in, make it really nice. Don't just, you know, put in just, you know, one image, maybe a couple different images showing different angles of the product or whatnot. Put in the weight. So, you know, if you don't put the weight in, if you're going to be shipping something, they can't calculate it for shipping. So, you know, you want to just fill in every single field available. I want to talk a little bit more about images for your products. Product images are very important. They help kind of make the sale. So basically you want to try to keep all the images the same dimensions. So what I mean by that is when you're populating products in your store, you know, you want to have it all kind of be looking uniform. So maybe set the camera in one specific spot, and then it's always at the same kind of zoom. So you're not way zoomed in on one product, way zoomed out on another product. Kind of crop it the same, maybe do a white background. Just try to put some consistency there to kind of make it look more professional. You also want to set up collections. So this is just categories, but this kind of helps customers find what they're looking for without having to click through the whole catalog. So clothes, you know, you could categorize things by, you know, maybe clothes for men, clothes for women, clothes for children. Or maybe you could say, this is my lamp collection. You put all the lamps that you're selling. This is my rug collection. This is all the rugs that you're selling. Items are on sale. Items are in certain sizes or colors or seasonal products. Or if you're offering a service, you could say, these are our consulting services. Maybe that would be one group. Another group could be, these are our project services, you know, things that you're actually going to be doing work on. So, you know, basically just grouping what you're offering. You also want to consider your payment gateways. Not all payment gateways are created equal. You want to pay attention to transaction fees. You know, typically with PayPal, you know, there's going to be a 2.5%, I believe, transaction fee for each product or service sold. So you want to make sure that you're ready to incur those transaction fees. However, you know, if it's the choice between making a sale or not making a sale, which means making money for your business or not making money for your business, I think transaction fees are a necessary evil. You're never going to be able to avoid them. But you just want to make sure that you're not paying, you know, overly charged as well. Card types, you want to be able to take the major credit cards like Visa and MasterCard just to make it easier for your users to pay you. But I also highly recommend using PayPal. That gives users an additional level of confidence in that they don't have to, put their credit card information into your website. They can just connect it with PayPal and then they can pay that way, or Stripe or Square or things like that. I would recommend integrating those sort of payments so that way you're able to be a little bit more flexible and make it easier. If you can, basically you want to think about it this way, if you can take away any barriers that would keep somebody from making a purchase. Because I've actually had this happen to myself, maybe you guys have as well. You're out there on a website, you're ready to check out, and then all of a sudden they want you to put in your Visa card number. And you're like, man, for me, I leave my purse in my car, right? So then you'd be like, I have to go down to my car, get my purse, get the credit card, versus if the PayPal button was there, I could have just clicked PayPal and paid, right? So you want to take away any sort of barriers and make it easier for people to do business with you. You also want to consider whether you need to charge taxes, and you can actually enable them under the settings page. So that way when people are checking out, you're able to collect tax. So this is a screenshot of the settings page that I've been talking about. I highly recommend you go through each and every item. Click on general, go through all the options there. Click on payment providers, go through every option there. Checkout, go through all the options. I would go through each one of these categories, make sure that I've got it all running the way I want it to run. That way you're not missing out on anything. You want to also make sure that you set up Google Analytics, which is located at google.com/analytics. It'll actually give you a code that you can put here into Shopify, and that will give you some really great site reporting. It's going to give you information like demographics, geographics, how many people are visiting me from Port St. Lucie. It's going to tell you what keywords people are using to find your website. It's going to tell you, what page they're visiting most often. It just gives you a whole variety of data that can really help you drive success for your e-commerce site in the future. If you want to actually test your entire checkout process before you go live, Shopify actually has a bogus gateway. And if you go under the payment providers here, there's a payment gateway setting, and you can actually enable the bogus gateway. And what it lets you do is you can actually go through each step of the checkout process as if you were a live user. And that way, if you can, help identify, okay, where there's this little hiccup in the checkout process, or I don't like the way this looks, or I'm not liking this confirmation message, or anything else like that, you can test that before you go live. And if you did enable any passwords while you were building the site, you want to make sure you take those off, and that is also controlled here in the settings. So that way people can actually view the site when it goes live. I'd just like to say that just in case that ever happens. So once you get your Shopify site up and running, I wanted to kind of give you some tips on how to make the most of it. So you want to use email. Email is very effective. If you haven't already an existing customer list, that's a huge win. You can use that to start, getting sales for your e-commerce site. If you don't have an existing customer list, then you want to start building one, and you can do that through social media. You can have people, encourage people to sign up to emails that way. If you have a brick and mortar and you have people walking in, you can say, hey, please sign up to our email list. If you're doing some networking, you can start building an email list that way. There's a variety of ways of doing it. Highly recommend not buying email lists. Those are not very effective. So you definitely want to, have a focus on in your business, though, going forward, of building an email list. And if you already have an existing one, you want to continue to build it. And you can use things to you can obviously use this email list to regularly communicate about your products. And you can also use email to stay in touch and stay in contact with your users. And this is something that will benefit you in the future, because if you send birthday emails, as an example I put here, you can say, hey, 10% off of this product or service just because it's your birthday. And so you can help drive sales through things like that. You can also do this for anniversaries, and a variety of other topics. But you know, any sort of like holiday, you can do discounts or promotions. And so emails are going to help you push all that. I also want you to consider that if you are shipping a product, you want to use good packaging. You want to think about how can you make your unboxing experience feel special. Doesn't have to necessarily be magical, but at least special. Maybe you put a nice little ribbon on there, use some nicer packaging, so that way people feel like they got a quality product. And you want to think about, you know, customer service. If you start getting a reputation that you're not caring about the experience that people had on the site, that's not going to be good. So you want to make sure that you're getting good customer reviews where people are talking about what a great experience they had on your store. That leads into talking about product reviews. Think about the fact that Amazon made 35% of their revenue by recommending products to past customers. So there is money to be made in encouraging people to leave reviews, and then also using that you might also be interested in, or, you know, based on past purchases or from other customers, these might be some things that might be good for you. So definitely encourage product reviews. And Shopify has actually put together a great comprehensive resource. And so I recommend you go to their blog and check out their e-commerce business blueprint. It's very comprehensive, and I would recommend you guys go through it. They talk about email, they talk about branding, they talk about promotions. So once you get your e-commerce site up and running, that's definitely a great resource. So if you decide to tackle Shopify, which I highly recommend you do, and getting your e-commerce website, I feel confident that if you get started in the morning and give it your attention all day, you should be able to have your e-commerce website up. And then at that point, you can start servicing customers online, which is something that you definitely need to be thinking about in this age of increased internet marketing. So as far as what I feel like you need to have in place for success in the future, you need to do your keyword research. You need to figure out what are people searching for you online. And if you didn't go to the past webinar, the URL that you can check out and do some keyword research at is Ahrefs, which is ahrefs.com. And for $7, you can do some keyword research for a week, $7 for 7 days. And that will give you the search term volume, that'll give you seasonality, that'll give you a whole data set around the different search terms that people use for your product or service. Once you have that figured out, you want to have your website up and running. You want to utilize those keywords in your informational website. You want to utilize those keywords in your e-commerce site. And once you get your e-commerce and your website up and running, then you start doing the social media and promotions. So really encourage you guys to dedicate some time to get yourself up and running on e-commerce, so that way you can take advantage of more people being online. I encourage you to follow me. You can visit my website at clevelmarketing.com. Feel free to email me or follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn. So I would love to hear your questions regarding this webinar. Hopefully some of you guys have posted some. And also would love to hear in the chat what you would like the next marketing topic to be on. We're actually going to be having a live Q&A webinar coming up. So I want you guys to maybe think about some questions for that. That's pretty much open-ended. Whatever you want to ask me, you guys will be able to ask me. So definitely prepare some questions for that. And with that, we're going to go to the chat and see if what questions have been asked here. So I see where somebody asked, do I have any thoughts on using Etsy? Yes, and definitely recommend. So what's really great about Shopify is once you get it up and running, it actually does an integration with Etsy and Pinterest. So which are two, really great ways to kind of promote your Shopify store. So, and actually what's even interesting is I think Shopify did a blog post on how somebody used Etsy and Shopify to help drive e-commerce sales for themselves. So I would, I would definitely recommend, utilizing those other e-commerce websites if they apply to your business, right? So if you're offering a product that somebody might want to sell on Etsy, definitely would recommend you going that route, because there's the reason behind that is there's already a congregated users that are there, so you might as well take advantage of the congregation basically. So Katie, you're saying there's another question. Is there a question that I've missed here?
There is one posted in the Q&A that says, will you repeat the keyword research website, please?
Sure, yeah. So it's ahrefs.com, ahrefs.com. And when you go to that website, you'll see a little option where it says, use it for $7 for 7 days. And so of course, obviously you have to get your keyword research done in 7 days, but that'll allow you to do some cheap keyword research. And there's actually once you get signed up for Ahrefs, there's a keyword explorer tab, and that's where you'll do all of your keyword research. So ahrefs.com. There you go. Any other questions, guys? All right, any other questions that you guys might have? About the difference between a regular website and an e-commerce website. Okay, good question. So basically a regular website, I was referring to it before as like an informational website, but a regular website that doesn't have e-commerce on it is just essentially, maybe an about page, a home page, maybe you might even have a services page where you talk about the different services that you offer. You might even have a products page where you talk about the different products that you offer. But essentially a regular website does not allow you to sell products. So you don't have that checkout functionality. So when you have a regular website, they might be able to go learn more about you. They might be able to go see your company's mission statement, or they might be able to see what products and services you offer, but there's no ability for them to actually say buy now and check out online. So e-commerce is basically a functionality that you can add to an existing website, or you can actually build a separate e-commerce website. So when people come to me and say, hey, I'd love to add e-commerce onto my website, the easiest way to go about it is to set up a Shopify site because they already have the checkout process figured out. They've already got the payment processors going on. You do have the ability to actually integrate e-commerce into your regular website, but that is more of a labor-intensive effort. I'm not saying that it's not worth it, because it can be, but for y'all's purposes and just wanting to get up and going, I just recommended Shopify because it's A to Z, got it all figured out, and you don't have to know any HTML coding, you don't have to know any, functions or anything else like that. So, so yeah, regular website is just informational, where you're putting information about product, services, specials, things like that. E-commerce is actually giving people the ability to hit buy now and buy the product or service from you. And there is a misconception that e-commerce is only products. E-commerce can also be services. So you can sell consulting services. You can sell maybe going out and doing an evaluation. You know, you can sell services, and that would be considered an e-commerce website. So you can use Shopify to sell services as well as products. Any other questions, guys? I definitely hope you guys join for the live Q&A. And again, you can bring any internet marketing question that's got something to do about your website, something to do about social media, something to do about emails, really anything that you can think of as in the realm of internet marketing. Definitely encourage you guys to bring those questions, and we'll have a live Q&A where we can discuss that. So with that, does anybody have any other questions? And appreciate you guys' participation today. All right, well, thank you again for joining. Feel free to contact me if you feel like, and I'll put my contact screen back up there. If you feel like you kind of get after the webinar and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have asked that question, always feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you as much as I can. And definitely appreciate you guys joining today. And thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Leanna, and thank you everybody for participating today. Again, please join us back here at 2 p.m. where we're going to be talking a little bit about social distancing and how to make it great. And then we will be sending out an email to register in advance for the marketing Q&A with Leanna next week. I did post some information in the chat, but you will also be receiving an email. With that being said, everybody stay safe.
Thank you all.